Welcome to the Sponsored Rider Club podcast, your guide to motorsport sponsorship. Here's your host, Josh Weesey.
Welcome to this episode of the Sponsored Rider Club podcast, which is powered by AMSOIL. AMSOIL and I have teamed up because we believe that you have unlimited potential. And this podcast was created and it exists to help you find it and set it loose on the motorsports industry. With the right mindset, coupled with focused and consistent action, you and I, and AMSOIL, together, we can make motorsports an unstoppable force. Our intent is to empower riders and racers with the knowledge they need and crave to grow their program. We can exponentially improve and grow the motorsports industry together. I want to tell you more about AMSOIL, though, and one of the cool reasons why they even exist is because of a jet fighter pilot. So back in the 1960s, there was a pilot named Al Amotizio, and he asked the question, like, why don't we use these same synthetic oils in our cars? So he got used to the fact that, jet engines had this amazing oil. He's like, why don't our day-to-day driving vehicles have the same technology? Couldn't find it. So he just created it. So back in the day, he came up with his own formulation for synthetic oil. He called his company AMSOIL, that was founded in Superior, Wisconsin, and then basically produced the world's first synthetic motor oil for automobiles in 1972. And now they're everywhere. AMSOIL's all over the place. They're a big part of making this show a reality, and they're a big part about making a ton of race programs a reality as well. Like, for example, Bryce Menzies, Chad Baseflew, who was on the show before, and many others. Like I said, all over the place. And I just think it's so cool that it all started with a fighter pilot from Wisconsin. I want you to check out AMSOIL products. Make the switch today. Go to AMSOIL.com/rider to find out more. That's AMSOIL.com/rider to find out more. Now, we have a very special episode today. It is a family edition of Bold Racing. Now, if you remember back in the day, on episode 39, we had Jimmy Moore of Bold Racing on the show, and he came back for this episode, but he also brought his two sons, Jimmy Moore Jr. and Josh Moore. So we get to hear from them, and we actually filmed this as part of the Vegas to Reno experience. So this is when me and the Bold Racing crew and 4x4 Barbie were all out trying to tackle the Vegas to Reno race. The race didn't go that great for us, but the tech and contingency event went phenomenal, and that's where we sat down and got these interviews. So you get to hear from those three shortly. Our last full episode was the first edition of this Vegas to Reno interview. We had 4x4 Barbie. We had Jim Beaver on. It was his third time on the show. Mob Armor, Buddy Hernandez. We had Todd Robinson of Vision Wheel, Kristen and Wayne Matlock. We had Lance Robinson of SolderWeld. And we also had Debbie Burgos from Race to Erase 22. So tons of good stuff in the last episode. And we also released the Caden Danbury and Sarah Danbury live show as episode 101. So those are back there. You can check them out. And really excited for our future ones. We've got Danielle and Mike Gardner lined up, and also Keegan Kincaid. So really excited to get those episodes out there in the near future. I also want to get your feedback. If you head over to iTunes, leave a rating review, that's huge for two reasons. One, I like getting feedback. The other reason is it helps grow this show. It gives the show more exposure when there are ratings and reviews left. And that means that I can continue to attract and bring on awesome guests. So leaving ratings and review is very important. And also, subscribing is important. So subscribe, that's regardless of whatever podcast player you use. That way you don't miss upcoming guests. Now I want to take a moment to shout out our sponsors for this episode. We have SolderWeld. They produce game-changing metal bonding technology. TopThePodium.com. They're experts in motorsport sponsorship. Bold Racing, they are a family race team, and they are distributors for GSP XTV axles. Armor Coat, they simplify your cleaning process, and they also have a separate entity called Never Lift Racing that produces amazing racing apparel. Then we have Crash Addict Industries. They provide human protection and extreme racing products. And then Racing Addix, who is putting a whole new spin on networking and motorsport sponsorship. I also want to shout out some of our other partners, including MBRP Powersports, HMK USA, Stud Boy Traction, One Stop Performance, and, like I mentioned earlier, GSP XTV Axles. Now, the structure of this one, we're going to start with the two boys, so Jimmy's two sons. They're going to kick things off. We will thank our sponsors, and then we're going to close things out with a longer interview with Jimmy Sr. of Bold Racing. Without further ado, let's hop in.
All right, well, welcome, everybody. We're still here, Vegas to Reno. We're sitting in the booth now, the Bold Racing and GSP XTV Axle booth with Little Bold Racing. Now, we were just talking about what we should call you, but Jimmy Jr. So this is Jimmy's, first time really in this race where he's taking a bigger role in the business side of it, and then you're also going to be racing as a driver for a period. So what I want to talk to you about is the transition from the race prep and then the co-driver to now having a stake in the business and also a stake in the actual driving part of the race.
Yeah, I've taken on a lot more responsibility this go around. Last Vegas to Reno, I just prepped the car.
Yep.
And then co-drove for my dad.
Right.
So that in itself was enough responsibility for me. But
yep.
This year that I've graduated high school and started to take on a little bit more ownership and a little more responsibility with the business. Starting to sell axles now, and I prep the car still, and I still manage some of the team. But now with driving and everything, I got to think a little bit more on both sides of the ball. I have to think about preserving the car and learning how to drive it like the way I should.
Yep.
So, yeah.
Yeah, and I think – I've interviewed a number of youth racers on here, which I usually consider youth as being folks that are 16 and under.
Yeah.
And in this case, you've transitioned that. So you probably started racing with your dad when you were 16. Is that right? Or was it earlier than that?
No, it was about 16, so 2 years ago.
Yeah, so, you were able to then go from that starting point, and now you're learning more of the ins and outs, and you have a financial stake in the business, right? So
yes.
I think that's important for people. I know a lot of people listening are in that stage where their parents are supporting them to a high level, and now they have to start learning the ins and outs and learning the financial difficulties of it. So, but I mean, what have you kind of picked up in that process so far?
Well, I picked up that budgeting is a serious thing.
Yeah.
Budgeting correctly, and then doing everything right the first time.
Yeah.
And not procrastinating and spending all your money on the wrong stuff.
Yeah.
And making sure that you get the necessities first, and then you can get the little things that make it look cool and stuff.
Yeah. I mean, one thing I can relate to is growing up, I feel like I've used to look at things and say, well, why don't we just do this? And your parents say, oh, well, we don't have the money for that. Or
exactly.
We're focused on this. But that's the case everywhere. I mean, even in big corporations, right? You can't just do whatever you want to do. You have to prioritize where you're going to focus your resources at.
Yeah.
So even like you and I were talking a little bit before setting up for the show, I put a pretty significant investment into my equipment to set up for the show. And that meant that I couldn't put my investment in something else.
Yeah.
But in order to get comfort level for the guests and get good quality audio, I needed to invest a little bit more into this one. So, but I had to make that decision, and we'll see if it's right or wrong or not. But now you're in that space and making some of those decisions that have a bigger financial impact on the program in general.
Yeah. I think a big part of the investment side is time, too. You have to invest your time on certain things, too. But, yeah, I've learned a lot from my dad and prioritizing everything, and he's very smart business-wise, and so it's so good to have someone like that to grow up with and see, what things can go ahead of other things.
Yep.
And making sure everything's in line.
Yeah, good deal, man. Well, do you have any other last-minute tips for people, maybe the kids that are making that transition into adulthood in the racing world? I mean, do you have any tips for that you've learned along the way that you want to share?
Well, as a teenager, I've seen that kids don't like to listen to the adults. They're kind of know-it-alls, and you can't do that. You have to pay attention to what the professionals have done because they've already made it, and you need to learn from them and learn from their mistakes and take one step at a time.
Yeah, good deal, man. Well, hey, thanks for taking some time. We'll close it out.
Thank you.
Peace. All right, well, welcome back here. We're sitting in the Bold Racing GSP XTV booth with Bold 4 himself, Josh Moore. Awesome name, too, by the way.
Thank you.
So, first off, tell us how old you are so that people get an idea, and then tell us a little bit about your involvement with the race program.
Okay, so I am 14 years old. I do a lot of the prep to the race car, so we are able to come to these races and represent GSP. And me and my brother and my dad, we built the car when it was all stock, and we just came to be who we are today from hard work and good work ethic and just long hours on the race car, a lot. And my dad's involvement with social media, getting us sponsors.
So what have you learned about the importance of sponsorship in this program?
Just to have a good relationship with your sponsorships, and not to get involved with something funky. And
That's a good way of putting it.
It could turn out, ugly.
Yeah.
And just have a good relationship with your sponsorships and get to know them, represent them at the races, and do a lot of social media posting.
Yeah.
About the sponsors, shouting out to them, like how great they are and how they allow you to do these stuff at the races.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. Well, do you have any tips for people listening?
Well, I'd say don't try to be someone else when you're trying to get sponsorships. Just be yourself when you're trying.
Boom! High five on that one.
Yeah, just be yourself when you're trying to get sponsorships. I mean, you don't want to give the impression that you're a fake.
Yeah.
And and your sponsors will love you, and that's the beginning of a great relationship.
That's it, man. All right. Well, hey, thanks for taking the time.
Yep.
Peace.
What's up, everyone? George Hamill here. As a professional off-road racer, I'm always seeking a competitive advantage. My vehicle, tools, and products must perform flawlessly for me to excel on the racetrack. I only use products that help me succeed and provide me an edge over my competition. One critical area that affects racing is weight, and this is certainly true for UTV racing. Mud, dirt, and grease can accumulate under the vehicle and on the tires, decreasing speed and performance. So in 2017, we partnered up with Never Lift Racing and their amazing product Armor Coat. This spray-on product performs. Not only does it reduce the effect of mud while racing, but it also makes cleanup quicker and gives my vehicle a professional appearance on race day. Armor Coat Spray is a critical part of our race program. Grab some today. You'll be amazed.
Whether you are a professional racer like George or a weekend warrior like myself, Armor Coat can make a huge difference in your life. Armor Coat from Never Lift Racing is a unique solution formulated to help prevent mud, clay, and ice from sticking to the surfaces that you treat. This cuts your cleanup time in half while keeping your machine looking new. So I want you to go check out armorcoatproducts.com for the latest off-road care products. Safety is our overriding priority. I hear it all the time, but I have to ask myself, is it though? Is that the first thing we think of? Is that the first thing you think of? Over the past couple of years, we've seen the performance of production UTVs increase, somewhere around 350%. That means these machines give us a lot more opportunity to have fun and win races, but it also, unfortunately, gives us new opportunities to crash. And that's why we have partnered with Crash Addict Industries. The owner, Travis Pointer, became very accustomed to crashing early in his career. He saw it as inevitable, and he set out to make the process safer. With a passion for racing, welding, and engineering, Crash Addict Industries now produces full cage and other protection systems intentionally designed to protect you during an accident on the track. They also offer a line of human protection products through their vendors. Do this for me at this point. If you're racing with a stock cage right now, please go check out crashaddict.com and at least just see what they have to offer. Even if you choose to go with a different company, please make safety your overriding priority. I hear it constantly from racers that a good suspension setup is absolutely critical for performance, and that's why I'm going to talk to you next about bold racing and suspension. Now, it's really critical to understand your suspension, and there's so many intricacies with the valving and the shims and all this crazy equipment that you need to actually, rebuild and properly set up your suspension, that it's really important, if you're ready for that next level of performance, to partner with an awesome suspension company. Now, Bold Racing is that company. They're not only specialists with their suspension setups, but they also partner with companies that produce amazing custom components. And on top of that, they're a family race team. They actually race themselves, so they really understand the type of beating that your vehicle and your shocks can take. So what I want you to do is give them a call and just chat with them. Talk to them about suspension. Their number is 702-506-5354. If you're not ready for a phone call, go ahead and shoot them an email, bold.racing@yahoo.com. Are you ready for an entirely new approach to motorsports sponsorship and networking? I'm assuming the answer is yes, because why else would you be listening to this podcast? We are excited to be teaming up with Racing Addix. They are legitimately questioning and challenging the status quo on sponsorship. Once you become part of their network, they will first off sponsor you directly, but then also help link you with other companies who are dedicated to making motorsports better and providing you with additional sponsorship opportunities. This is crazy stuff. If you're excited about this, then join the club. Your next step is to head over to the social media and find Racing Addicts, give them a follow, and stay tuned for what's next. I am constantly asking the guests of this podcast how they attract and retain sponsors, and on almost every single occasion, somebody gives an example of a resume. A rider or a racer resume is extremely important to your overall sponsorship pitch and proposal. And it's tough to do. I mean, it's not really the easiest thing. Anybody can go through and put together a resume, so don't get me wrong there, but it's really difficult to get something that's like unique and different and stands out, and that also is something that can be put across multiple platforms. Well, that's one of the things that I want to talk to you about next, is how topthepodium.com can actually help you build a race or rider resume that can be used on multiple platforms. I'm talking like website, PDF, something you can print off that's interactive, that looks fantastic. It looks absolutely professional. Well, that's because it's made by a professional. This is the type of thing that's going to set you apart from the crowd, and that's going to position you for a strong sponsorship proposal. So what I want you to do next is go to topthepodium.com, and if you have a question, there's a little chat icon that pops up on the side of the screen when you go to topthepodium.com, and you can go ahead and type your question right there. Jeff Vanestal, he is the owner of Top the Podium. He's going to be able to respond to you directly, so check it out.
What's up, everyone? This is Mike Pasquarella, founder of Desert Vets Racing. When the team goes racing, we always have our SolderWeld products with us. Keeping the cars in the fight is our number one concern. With SolderWeld, we can do that. SolderWeld is a leading company in the U.S. for aluminum repair. They specialize in radiator repair on the fly. If you're stuck in the middle of the trail or a race with a hole in your radiator, oil pan, or canister, or even an aluminum line, you can fix it right then and there in a matter of minutes with their AMSOIL aluminum repair rods and flux. It's the only complete and lasting fix in the off-road community. SolderWeld's new UTV off-road kits fit in every ride and are easy to access on the fly.
SolderWeld continues to make a huge positive impact on this industry. So I really encourage you, get in there now. Go to SolderWeld.com Check out their products because this stuff is changing the game.
August 16th, we're out at Vegas to Reno. I'm sitting here with Jimmy Moore of Bold Racing. So, Jimmy, man, tell us a little bit about yourself. Remind people who you are.
So, like you said, Jimmy Moore at Bold Racing. We're a professional UTV team in the naturally aspirated class. And we know a little something about suspension.
Yeah.
We're kind of keeping a little more private now. And then GSP XTV axles, we been working with that company and developing some super high engineered axles that are going to revolutionize the industry with these UTVs making such high horsepower, high torque. There's some problems that are associated with it. We can make an axle super strong to where it just will never break at probably half the cost that the top dogs are charging right now.
Yep.
But that kinetic energy is still transferred back.
Yeah.
It just creates more. It doesn't solve a problem. It creates a different problem.
Yeah.
And so some of the manufacturers start getting kind of like a bad name. Well, they got weak front differentials. They got weak transmissions. This company's got this. This company's got that. And what we're bringing to the table is a way to absorb it, put it back out in the tires, and preserve the car.
Yeah, definitely.
So we have some samples here today.
I haven't seen them yet. Okay.
I'm gonna reveal some of it.
Nice.
We're comfortable with the technology that's in these things that a company will not be able to duplicate it for at least a year, maybe two.
That's awesome.
And
that's huge in this industry.
And it'll cost them about $500,000 in equipment.
Wow.
To be able to manufacture them to that spec. So it's pretty exciting, man.
That's awesome.
Like on the cusp edge of something amazing.
It's funny. I just read a book. It's called The Wide Lens, and it talks about when an industry is innovating, it's always held back by the weakest link.
Correct.
So you could take a motor, like right now, Polaris or Yamaha, they could release a 300 horsepower motor, right?
Absolutely.
They know how to do that, but the rest of the components aren't going to be able to keep up with it yet. So what excites me a lot about this is if the axles can now keep up with the strength of the motors, and they're going to keep going up, and everybody keeps pushing each other to go a little bit faster. And
we're working on 2.0 already.
That's awesome.
From the release that we have now, the engineers, they're like engineers. I believe in engineers saving the world.
Yeah.
It's the accountants and attorneys that hold back these brilliant minds on being able to say, here's this equation.
Yeah.
Solve it.
Right.
We're not looking at budget on the design. There was never talks of, we don't want to do that because it's too expensive, because of the machining, the technology, the engineering behind it is super phenomenal.
Right.
I got a whole list of the engineering behind it, and aside from it sounding like a foreign language, I had to call GSP and go, hey, what are these words meaning?
Right.
What do these numbers mean with that word? Because you guys are going to have to dumb it down, man. I'm having a hard time with this,
Yeah.
But I think engineers could save the world if the accountants stepped out of the way and the attorneys stepped out of the way and let the engineers do what they know how to do.
Right.
So that's kind of where we're at. It was never a question of we don't want to do that or it's too expensive to do that. It's they want championships.
Yeah.
To go after belts and trophies and top-notch stuff for a legacy, not a dollar. Like the UTV industry is saturated with aftermarket axles. You got a bunch of zoo animals, and I don't want to go naming names, but they seem it's either satanic or zoo animals.
Yeah.
And all they're after is $1.
Yep.
They just want to make the minimum with the highest margins, get that dollar in. And me being a racer, I can afford to race. I don't need anybody's money, so to speak.
Yeah.
And GSP was the same way. They didn't know how to go to market. They needed somebody that was plugged into other manufacturers' vehicles that can go testing thousands of miles. We have engineering in-house and testing in-house with PSI, chromoly, and what PSI it breaks off at. The CR scale, which is the hardening process. Where does it start getting brittle or gets too difficult to any kind of absorbing and transfers that energy back? their budget was never an issue, and it's not necessarily looked at. It's product development, and what will it take to win every class in every single class. The NA, the unlimited, the turbo. Where and how far can we go with these championships?
Yeah.
I mean, after all, these guys are the makers of the Audi R8 axle.
Right.
The Hummer H1 axle.
Yeah.
The Porsche 911 Turbo.
Yeah.
The Cayenne Turbo S.
Yeah.
They made the Viper axles for a while. So these guys have the engineering, the brain power.
Yeah.
Where there's like zero tolerance on over 500 horsepower vehicles that have launch control. Where they hit that rev chip and then pow, all 4 tires break loose. So they're super smart. So coming into the UTV market, I think was maybe a little bit of a process for them.
Yeah.
Like, for one, how big is it? How big is the market? And over the last few years, it has blown up, out of control.
No doubt.
Amazing.
Yeah.
We went from 80 horsepower to 180 horsepower.
Yeah, I feel like in, 2014 when the 1000 Razor came out.
Yes, the XP 1000 was like the big dog in the house.
That was the game changer. I mean, the Yamaha Rhino was obviously a game changer, then the Razor 800. But then when the 1000 came out, it was like all of a sudden you start seeing these vehicles, especially what we're looking at today, right, at Vegas to Reno.
Yeah.
These vehicles are starting to compete closer and closer to the trophy trucks and
the class 10s. And
it's crazy. So I felt like that was the one that really set them up for it. But.
Yeah, we're on the leading edge right now to 100 miles an hour and be normal.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly,
right.
I know that the manufacturers and how they deliver that power has been kind of the limiting factor. Like you said, how industries have to catch up with themselves with new technology. I think, like Polaris, because they're the big dogs in the house. They have such a huge market share.
Right.
They want that. They want the triple digit reputation and the ability to hold it there. So in doing so, there's more than just one component. There's so many components involved in a drivetrain that have to handle that kind of impact, horsepower, longevity. These things come with warranties, and you can send them 7-8 feet in the air straight from the factory.
Yeah.
Like, like really?
Nuts.
It's great. Yeah. And
it's still like a 6-month warranty.
You can get the extended, 3-5 year.
Yeah.
I know that's offered. Unfortunately,
that's right.
my vehicle has been altered a little too much for any kind of warranty. But then the reliabilities of these things are just incredible. But so the associated parts, they want to be able to push the envelope. Yeah. But in order to do that, you have accountants and attorneys that hold that back. Whereas with GSP XTV, they're not liable. They're solving solutions. They're bringing solutions to the table for the manufacturers, starting with the racers.
Yep.
Like, we can get our motors pumped up. I think the Yamaha comes with 112 or 115 horsepower.
Yeah.
We're well over 160.
Right.
With not many modifications.
Yeah.
I know CLS Racing here, he's pumped up pretty good.
Yeah.
You'll see these things running on 110, 112 octane.
Right.
Like almost double the amount of factory horsepower and do 550 miles.
Yeah.
That's pretty incredible. It's impressive.
It's impressive.
They call it the poor man's trophy truck.
Yeah.
I don't know how poor or where that boundary is.
Yeah.
I know I don't have the money of a trophy truck guy.
Yeah.
But I can tell you right now, it's a love of the sport. I get people that ask me all the time, like, "What do you win? Do you win money?" I'm like, "Heck no, man."
You get a button.
I got a button last year after a 17.5-hour race.
Yeah.
And it's a small button. Each button, we got 2 buttons, one for me, one for my son, my co-driver. Each button was worth about $4,000, and I still have that button.
Right.
I asked my son if he was going to keep his. If not, I wanted his other. I wanted his button.
Right.
So that aspect of it. Once you're built, it gets cheaper.
Yeah.
But it's the competitive nature. Like, people don't have a choice on whether they have blue eyes when they're born.
Yeah.
We don't have a choice to not race.
Right,
we, We have to race.
Right.
We will work 27 full-time jobs if need be to get out on the course to compete at that level.
Yeah.
It's so challenging physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually.
Yeah.
You're like your whole soul is so wrapped up in it. Last year, you got to partake in the grind.
Right.
The chase is not easy.
Right.
These guys that run around these trucks with fuel and parts are just as sick and twisted, and enjoy it as the racers themselves.
Yeah.
It's a drug that is legal.
Yeah.
It is not safe.
Right.
And that's part of the joy of it.
Yeah, definitely.
You know, I know your razor. I keep seeing you popping up with different. I know your exhaust.
Yeah.
Was it MBRP?
MBRP. MBRP exhaust, and I just got Crash Addict bumpers, front and back.
Yeah.
And then the One Stop Performance roof, that's my second One Stop roof, and they know how to make a good solid roof.
Yeah. You're wrapped.
Yeah, I got it wrapped. Toy Skins did the wrap.
Dude, you should have never came to Vegas to Reno with me. You would be still somewhat normal in a stock machine. Like, man, this thing's enough. Because honestly, when you buy them, they are fast.
Yeah.
They are not slow. They don't need any modifications.
Right.
When you can bust 80 plus miles an hour
on
a machine you just drove off the showroom floor.
Yeah.
You're good.
Right.
And then here you go, Vegas to Reno, and now you're starting to get the disease, brother. It starts off with small stuff, like I need rims and tires.
Right.
I need a cage. Actually, I better get some seat belts for my family.
Right.
And then before you know it, you have exhaust.
Yeah.
Now you have a tune. Now your horsepower's up.
Right.
Then you're wrapped. Like, I anticipate maybe within the next year or two.
Yeah.
Our cars in a booth.
Right.
Competing against each other.
Right.
Just as twisted. Yeah, you definitely caught the bug, man. You have to get your wife down here and your family.
I know that's the next step is to get the wife involved.
Absolutely.
So, I'm actually thinking about. I said this on the show before, but I'm seriously considering doing an endurance snowmobiling race at some point.
Right, you're up there in Michigan.
Yeah.
What a perfect. It's all the same.
Yeah.
It's the atmosphere.
Yeah.
Not necessarily the vehicles. I mean, I would love to be in $1 million truck.
Right.
I am just as thrilled and happy to be in a UTV.
Yeah.
I would race a skateboard if I couldn't afford. Or tennis shoes, whatever it is. It's the nature of the beast, so to speak. The environment, the friends, the family, the bonding, racers helping each other, and meeting up. You don't see each other because you live hundreds or thousands of miles away. And you end up at the course, and everybody's like hugs and family, and you're barbecuing, and then race gas, and then you strap in, and you're willing to nerf your buddy. Like not that he would be willing to hold you up or anything.
Right.
But you're totally committed to smashing his rear bumper or having your rear bumper smashed by him.
Right.
Because it's that environment. It's a mental, emotional, spiritual game. My kids are sick and twisted on it. I think our prep, I try to track some of the hours on it.
Yeah.
We can track the dollars really easy because it comes out of my account. Actually, Junior is now part owner of Bold Racing, and so he's contributing financially to the program this race.
Yep.
He's put in a couple G's.
Yeah.
The prep hours, I would say, are close to 60 hours on that car for that one race.
Yeah, and that was a car that was already built, right?
Already built.
So that's just
not built from scratch. It's
right.
just the prep. Disassembling, reassembling, new parts. We always find little issues. Then we go test. We'll put hundreds of miles on the car, bring it back, do a mini teardown again. Of course, the shocks. I'm never quite happy.
Yeah.
I get happy. Like right now, I'm super ecstatic on what this course is going to feel like with the suspension I have set up with Billy Cartwright Racing Long Travel Kit and then my shock tune.
Right.
But this would be the third valving and spring package I put on the car.
Right.
You have to sacrifice something to gain something. You can't just gain it all.
Right.
Especially in suspension.
Yep.
You either going to be able to hit whoops at 1,000,000,000 miles an hour.
Yep.
Or you can take a 20-foot jump.
Yeah.
And so you try to find that happy medium based on the course and our experience last year. And then Larry, like CLS Racing, we talk all the time. We always talk racing. We'll talk family stuff. Good friend of the family, love him like a brother.
Yeah.
And then we give each other our thought processes on the course and what that setup will be.
Yeah.
He's running GSP XTV axles.
Right.
And my suspension setup, and he's my competitor.
Yeah. Yeah.
I would like to honestly be able to nerf him and beat him on a legit day.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
But yeah,
well,
man.
And one thing I want to dive into a little bit more in this show too is just looking at, like, we're sitting at right now, for people can't see it, but we're at the GSP XTV Axle Bold Racing booth, right? So, and Larry's here, CLS Racing, sitting next to us, which is a cool experience. But it's kind of going back to what you were talking about before when you said GSP wasn't exactly sure how to market themselves and they needed help there. And I think they actually started out by sponsoring you, right, with some axles?
Yeah. So
yeah. I just want to ask you a little bit more about how that relationship developed, because I think that's important. People can actually offer that type of support for a business, especially a booming or a business that needs help. Like this business here, it sounds like they're experts, technical experts.
Yes.
But are they marketing experts? Maybe not.
Yes.
And then you can come in and provide this whole new set of value that you probably wouldn't.
Correct.
You probably weren't expecting that when you first started doing this.
Yeah.
Right. So tell us
Yeah.
a little bit about how that relationship evolved. I think that's important for people to think about that as options for them and their programs and for the companies they support.
Okay. So we've been working with them for about 2 years now.
Yep.
Through a mutual person, got in contact with them, and they were like, "Yeah, we'd sponsor you."
Yep.
So they gave me a few sets of free axles, and then said, "You know what? We are not set up. They don't sell directly to the public.
Yep.
They're not set up. They're never going to be set up that way.
Yep.
They're used to dealing in $100,000 orders or $250,000 orders, and so." Their director of marketing says, "Hey, man, how about we set you up with an account, and you can sell, excuse me, you can sell our axles direct to consumer, and we'll give them to you at like if you were set up like a huge account.
Yeah.
And you can start penetrating the market and racing and see if we can grow something."
Yep.
I was like, "Wow, okay, yeah, that's great. Let's do it."
Yeah.
So under my LLC, it took me weeks, if not months, to grasp what it was that they're asking. Now, they didn't want to come out and say we want to just dominate the UTV axle aftermarket companies, because they're also a huge manufacturer. They make some of the zoo animals axles and what have you. So there's like a delicate process there, but they're confident enough in their abilities in engineering that those companies they come out with some decent axles, for sure, or else they wouldn't be around still.
Right.
The engineering and the specs is the customer's desire, and GSP makes that to theirs. So getting involved with me, I was like, these axles are great. We never had a failure in a race. We need something that just knocks it out of the park.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of where everything's really started changing. When I got to seeing, like, okay, we all need money to whatever. I want championships. I want that legacy. And so do they. So what would it take to do that? So we've actually been working with them for this axle for over a year.
Right.
We've had some handmade stuff. It's been wild. And now that they're at this cusp of evolution as a company, and we're kind of like a little doorway for them to enter the market, teaming up with Sponsored Riders Podcast,
right.
Being at the races, being a fan of racing is, I think, a huge part of our success as well. We don't look down on any car. We see the $120,000 UTV, and then the guy who just barely made it here, and he's on used tires, and we'll actually root for that guy and look at the personality that was put in the car. And GSP XTV is behind that 100%. We have meetings all the time. Racers try to get to them directly, and they just funnel it to me.
Right. And that's how we run it through the podcast too. Like,
correct.
I'll say,
hey, if you need a GSP XTB axle,
Correct.
talk to Jimmy Moore at Bold Racing.
Yep.
And that's kind of the strategy. And honestly, I think it's a cool thing for people to consider with the companies that they work with. That's another avenue, right, where you become a direct dealer type thing, or you're the one that is actually offering the product for sale.
Correct.
Which I think is good. And I also want to highlight something that I don't know if we've talked about on the show, how you were saying through my LLC. Now, obviously, you have suspension and then now these axles too. But there is some warrant to that. If you're just a racer, you might want to consider having an LLC anyways for your race program.
Correct.
If you don't already, because all that stuff that you're spending from a race prep, it does become tax write-off.
Yep.
So, I mean, okay, this goes back to your lawyer comment. Make sure you check with your lawyer before taking my advice. But like,
you have like a 6,000 word interruption. You have to like,
right.
Let's go on Thursday. So going to my attorneys. We're going to go some. There you go, man. Yeah. There's some truth to that.
It is true. It's so true. I actually had to do. I'm a little confused right now as when I recorded stuff and when it actually released yet. But I recorded one episode where I basically said, "Oh yeah, I like flew out to some guy's house that I met on the internet and like stayed with his family." And then I was like, "Wait, public service announcement: do not, do not do that. Do not do that unless you're a consenting adult."
Yeah.
But
because you did.
Yeah, I mean that's people that I work with, at my day job. They don't get it sometimes. They're like, so what'd you do? I was like, "Oh, I met this guy online," and then I went out and like stayed with him.
Stayed with him and his family and traveled all over Nevada. And
like, what? And because I also went snowmobiling with Curtis Fernie out in Idaho, and people were like, "So what'd you do?" I said, "I just met this guy online and flew out and stayed with him in a hotel, rode his snowmobiles." They're like, Were you sketched out? I was like, no, I probably should have been, but no, I wasn't.
It's just such a comfortable environment.
Yeah, maybe I'm just too trusting. I don't know. But
I had you in the camper with my kids.
Yeah.
And, you know what I mean? Like, Josh, no, he's from Michigan.
Yeah.
Well, how long have you known him? This is the first time I physically met him.
Right. Right.
We met on social media,
Yeah.
like some weird dating site or something.
Right.
And it's worked out. Back to what you were saying, the LLC, for those that are up and coming or just starting or they're actually seasoned, our philosophy is we race what we sell.
Mm-hmm.
And the companies that sign on with us, for instance, like KC Highlights. I'm a dealer for KC Highlights.
Yeah.
We like to be able to offer that value to the company. Some companies just don't need help in marketing.
Yeah, right.
I mean, Casey is such an iconic company who's been around forever and innovative and an amazing group of human beings after the best lighting possible.
Yeah.
We still offer that as an avenue and value to our sponsors. Like, you may not sell anything, but that LLC is attractive to a company.
Yep.
In the very near future, we won't be selling directly to the consumer anymore.
Right, right.
I'm still going to do race support.
Yeah.
The sponsorship program. I feel that's something I really enjoy.
Yeah. Yep.
I really like being on that edge of trying to break something.
Yeah.
And it not break. There's a feeling of satisfaction there.
Yeah.
Or seeing a product that we back and support and help develop go across the podium, whether it's on my car or your car or somebody else's car. I'm just as excited and ecstatic that we got a belt. We got a championship belt. So that LLC is something that it's not hard to do. It's free.
Yeah. Yes. It's not that hard to do. You're right.
It's not.
Right.
When you start selling stuff, then it gets a little bit muddy, and it's going to be based on dollars.
Exactly. Yeah, there's a certain point where, and again, I don't know all the details, but there's a certain point where an S corporation might make more sense, or but LLC is a good starting point. You can lose money on an LLC for a period of time.
Oh yeah.
Right. So it's a good starting point, and it's very easy to set up in the U.S. If people are listening elsewhere, I don't know, but I definitely recommend it, but looks like we got some supplies coming. So for people listening too, like this is the first interview we're doing at Vegas Reno. We're basically set up a Tech and Contingency Live, And we're working through some of the kinks, too, around, like, all right, how are we going to power the laptop for the entire day?
Yeah.
So we got a generator coming in now to help with that, too. But
you got some amazing guests and competitors of ours showing up, like the Matlocks.
Right,
Wayne and Kristen. Man, we've been following those guys before
tough.
we raced.
Yeah.
And Mrs. Matlock is an absolute savage.
Oh, yeah.
And she beats everybody in her husband's class,
Yes.
including her husband.
Yes. Yeah.
Gosh, if you want to follow somebody who's got some incredible heart,
yeah.
if you're a guy, I would say balls, but I don't want to go there. But who lacks the fear but has the ability to match that.
Yep.
That lady is an absolute savage out on the course. She can take calculated risks that I am absolutely afraid to do.
Yeah.
And she does it flawlessly, and it's not just dumb luck.
Yeah.
That lady gets on the podium on some epic races.
Yeah.
And then you got the VP, the boss man to Polaris coming in.
Yeah.
Who does a lot of the sponsorship. Craig Scanlon. We've been following him. His car, Luda, is absolutely amazing. It's one of the prettiest cars you will ever see.
Is that the name of it?
Luda, yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
And he's an absolute savage behind the wheel.
Yeah.
I know for a fact that if you are blocking him, just like any other racer, whether you're sponsored by Polaris or not, he's going to push you out of the way if you don't move. I love that. I love that. The helmets go on.
Yeah.
And the friendships kind of end.
Yeah.
You want to have a good racing ethic.
Yep.
Get out of people's way. Have people get out of your way, and know what to do when they don't.
Yeah.
It's an aggressive sport.
Yeah.
I'm not going to be held up by anybody,
Right.
even if you were in front of me, Josh.
Right.
If you're trying to block me, man, I would. We would trade paint.
Right.
Absolutely. And it would get more and more violent the longer you stayed in there.
Yeah.
And that's just the way it is. That's what I love about the sport.
Yeah, definitely.
And then you got Barbie, Pleasant Cook.
Yeah.
So we spent the evening with her and her family, her mom and dad, out in the desert. We were at the starting line, not a person there.
Yeah.
We set our campers up. We had some little finishing touches to do to the car. And we sat around and chit-chatted about family, business, adventures, trials and tribulations and victories, Josh Wheezy, and who we are as people. And I absolutely love them. Pleasant is a very strong, driven individual who has a code that she follows to the T, to the core. She is a clean human being.
Yeah.
And her family is they're very articulated, well spoken, thoughtful, caring, compassionate. We're thrilled to death to have her in the car with us, and just as thrilled to have her parents chasing with us.
Yeah.
What a great opportunity that you presented. For her and for us.
Yeah.
Now, if you went social media account to social media account,
yeah, right.
Like we have 2 followers, and she has hundreds of thousands of followers, and yet she's still humble and grateful for to be out racing. She has the ability to go racing herself.
Yeah.
I don't know how time constraints do and all that. The young lady has a heart of a lion.
Yeah.
And is super competitive and wants to be out there grinding.
Right.
In the desert for hours. And I love that about her. Her mom's a little more conservative and scared. Like I had to go over my fuel system and how we're not going to catch on fire, how we fuel. She wanted to know all the intricacies of anything that may or may not happen, the backup plans.
Right.
Pleasant and I sat in the car for about an hour and a half, went over the controls.
Good.
Certain situations, I try not to overload her too much of the technical stuff of what we do, just the basics, where the kill switches if something happens. Step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4.
Yep.
How to reach best in the desert. We have little panic buttons in the car. Weatherman channel.
Yeah.
She was there. We have a bunch of notes on the roof of the car.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I can see them.
Yep. She is 100% prepared and willing. Her mom is a lot more comfortable.
Yeah.
Her dad is Eddie. He's an awesome guy.
Yeah.
That's who started her into the trucks
Oh,
and
okay.
mini monster
the mini
trucks.
monster trucks.
Yes.
Yeah. Yep.
Dad wanted a boy, mom wanted a girl, and they
Yeah.
got both with Pleasant.
Right,
That's
right.
what she said exactly.
Yeah.
Those were her words exactly.
Yeah. In terms of new sponsors for this year, you've got some changes, right? So
We've actually had quite a few changes.
Yeah.
We had a lot of sponsors last year, and this year we choked back our race program.
Yep.
Substantially. So last year we raced Snore and some Best in the Desert.
Yep.
So we were hitting 2 different series. This year we wanted to back off, focus in on GSP XTV.
Yep.
Focus in on ourselves as a team. We want to win, and in order to do that, I think the Snore Series was a great place for Junior and I. So
Yeah.
our first race, we got wrecked.
Yep.
We get in. I'm like, okay, man, this is your job and this is my job. And we get out there and we have a crazy 1600 car.
Justin Lofton's truck just pulled up, so I was going to take a quick
Yeah,
picture.
no, we're good with that.
Keep rolling.
Do you want me to pose with it, or
Yeah,
do you want me to just slide to the right a little bit more there?
Yeah.
So we pulled back quite a bit, and we still are getting tons and tons of saddle time.
Yeah, yeah.
Thousands of miles this year.
Yeah.
Just not necessarily in the race environment. It's been testing product, tuning product, developing product. We are starting. We want to be known and associated with somebody like a GSP XTV.
Yeah, yeah.
Who we get to bring to market with all the people we know and all the people that we've become friends with in the racing industry is because we're fans of industry. We enjoy the racing.
Right, right.
We root for people in our same class.
Yeah.
If we can't win, we hope they win. We haven't had any paint trading.
Yeah, right.
Yet.
We still got a lot of racing left to do.
We still got some racing to do, man. And if it happens, it happens. We all talk about it and laugh about it, and support it.
Yeah.
We all have the same mentalities. Hold on one second. Hey, can you go get Junior? Junior, we need Jimmy Junior here. And tell Bobby to get a hold of Pleasant. Pleasant needs to be down here with her neck brace, her race suit, everything. We're getting teched.
Perfect.
All right, sorry about that.
Well, we'll close out too because it's about time for you to get busy here in a minute. So, is there anything just last minute that you want to touch base on so that you can go get ready for tech and contingency?
I think the value as a racer, all racers bring some value to the table. Some are better at marketing than others.
Yeah.
But all racers have value because they're a test platform, or they're a platform for an opportunity for a company to highlight what they're doing.
Yep.
And have pride in their product. Never skimp or shy away from an opportunity like, so the sponsors, we could have had all the sponsors from last year into this year, plus probably several larger companies, and we didn't think it was fair. For one, two, it's a whole lot of work. It is a business, and you got to uphold your end of the business.
Yeah.
With product highlight, tagging. We like to keep things lively and fun and family oriented.
Yep.
I'll put bloopers on my Instagram stories and send to the sponsors.
Right.
We didn't want that workload while we're focusing in on the program.
Right.
Next year, on the other hand, we're going after a championship in the NA class.
Right.
We're going to do the full series, and we're in discussions right now for the 1000, the Baja 1000. That is a bucket list race.
Yeah.
the Mint 400, Vegas to Reno, the UTV Worlds,
Yep.
and the Baja 1000, and then after that one, the 500.
Right.
Are the races that the majority of sponsors care about. The rest are nice, and championships overall, points championships are neat. But if you can podium on any one of those, if you can get a first or second place, maybe even a third place, you will end up on a factory ride. This is America.
Yeah.
The dream is still alive and well.
Right.
You can be a nobody that has no social media, who just opened up a Facebook account yesterday.
Yeah.
You win Vegas to Reno tomorrow.
Oh, yeah.
And you will have phone calls before you get home. How they get your number, I don't know. It's super crazy.
Right.
But you'll end up with a factory ride.
Yeah.
Phil Blurton is a prime example. I've got to talk to him a little bit. His nephew, we sponsor Breckham, an amazing young man and a heck of a competitor. His dad does King of the Hammers.
Yeah.
But that guy came from nowhere.
Right.
He raced it one year, came back and said, you know what, next year I'm going to win that thing.
Right.
And he did.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And now he's a huge face for Can-Am.
Yeah.
That's how it happens. You do got to show up prepared.
Yeah.
You really got to push yourself and not necessarily throw caution to the wind. Yeah,
that's a good smell there.
That race gas.
That's a good smell.
I taste that. I think that's 112.
Yeah.
I think it's VP.
Yeah.
I did taste some 110 Sunco that went by a little bit earlier, but that was definitely 112. Get involved. I was going to tell you. So some of our competitors, like they race the Baja. They race Baja, and we went down with Dynamic Racing, and in doing so, and Mad Media, Matt Martelli, love him to death, man. What a great guy he is. He's so inviting. Mm-hmm. I'm a big history buff. We were down in Mexico with him for 2 weeks. And that guy had knowledge of every bay that we were at, every town that we were at, the history of the town, these little coffee shops that you necessarily wouldn't walk into.
Right.
Had the best coffee in the freaking world. But going down there, now we've gotten multiple offers for all the Bajas. The San Felipe 250. Hey, will you come down and help us out? And unfortunately, this year we haven't really been able to commit. Have an opportunity maybe. One was presented to go down. I can't really mention the name. It was a trophy truck guy, one of the top dogs to come down and help with them. Me and my son. Mm-hmm. We like to think we're savages. We can stay up for 48 hours straight and drive 105. Now Mexico is not necessarily speed limit, so we weren't technically breaking any laws. But 105 miles an hour with a dually and a trailer hook to it to get to the pits.
Right.
After you've been up for 36 hours and then pit the vehicles, we can do that. It's our passion. We do it for a passion. We're never paid. We get our way paid, food and lodging and all that, which is, if you wait it, is not worth it, because after 48 hours and a week of pre-running 16, 18 hours a day and course mark, you're doing all this stuff. You get to pre-run those Bajas. Man, you are jello of a human. You're kind of like a broken shell. At the end of the race, you're a broken shell of a human being. A quick story. So with the Dynamic crew, we get down to La Paz. We go down there twice. It was 4 days to pre-run. Then we race. Junior and I were up for 48 hours. Our first pit was 21 hours away from Ensenada. We left Ensenada, took off full bore, 21 hours straight. 21 hours later, we get to our pit, and an hour and a half later, the car's there.
Holy cow.
Then we did the next two pits where we were able to kind of mellow out a little bit. And so we get down to La Paz. The race is over. It was a success. They came in 7th place, which is just amazing in itself. We get a hotel. There were some booking issues, and so we end up getting some local culture in La Paz. And so you get to this hotel, quote unquote. We get out. We're all zombies.
Yeah.
Everybody has done the same hours. Nobody's like, oh, sparkling fresh and ready to go to dinner. We're like, bed.
Yeah.
I need water and I need bed. That's it. I don't want food.
Yeah.
I don't think I have the ability to chew and swallow without dying. Because
Right.
I'll forget to chew.
Right.
And we get to this hotel, and as we're walking in, it's a house, and so I walk into the neighbor's house.
Yeah.
Who's a house? It's not a hotel.
It's a house. Yeah.
And so this guy starts yelling at me in Spanish. The team are like, "Hey, no!"
Yeah.
And I come back out, and I was like, "Man, I thought that was weird. They were watching TV, and I'm walking in their house.
Yeah.
And they're freaked out.
Right,
so one of the guys from Horsepower Ranch came in and kind of interpreted, no, we're tired, we're racers, we're sorry. So we get in this hotel room, and it is nowhere to any standard that you would think. There's hair. I mean, it's rough, man.
Yeah.
It is rough. The bedding's stained. The walls are stained. We get there and we don't care.
Yeah, right.
Junior and I, we share a room together.
Yeah.
I take a shower and pass out. I come out, Junior's passed out,
Yeah.
and we are dirty.
Yeah.
Like super dirty.
Yeah.
2 days of desert, dust, sweat, no shower.
Right.
I did brush my teeth and I had deodorant on.
Yeah.
It's when deodorant no longer covers the smell, you end up with deodorant. It's like a poopery for human beings. It's bad, man. So we wake up X amount of hours later. I don't know. I think we slept for 8 hours straight, 10 hours straight. We need to get back to Ensenada. We wake up, and I look over at Junior, and he looks like a dirtbag.
Yeah.
His pillow is
just filthy,
and apparently he got a bloody nose in the middle of the night, so now he's got blood all over the pillow, sheets, himself. He wakes up, he's got the biggest smile on his face.
Yeah.
And I go, dude, you look bad. He's all, that was the best sleep ever. I'm like, wow, dude.
That's funny.
We come out of the hotel, and I bring his pillow, and everybody's just like, yuck.
Yeah.
I'm like, that was it, man. That was absolutely a beautiful moment. Talking about an incredible memory with some really neat people.
Yeah.
Aside from Matt Martelli, Christine and Louie, some of the racers, Anthony, the whole crew were absolutely amazing to go push with. Yeah,
definitely.
Paul, the owner. Everybody pushed through some difficult, dirty. No rest. It's an animal. It's definitely an animal. The only thing that kind of compares is this race.
Yeah, right.
And you got to partake in.
Yeah, definitely. I got some more thinking to do for tomorrow, but I feel like I'm much more prepared this time for the pit than I was last time. Like last time, I was like, hey, let's just see what happens.
I'm gonna put you in a 1-ton dually, pulling a 20,000-pound trailer.
Yeah.
And this is the third time that we've met face to face. I'm going to give you my $70,000 truck, and my 40-foot long toy hauler, and my wife, to go drive in the Nevada desert. And hopefully, find me in a race car somewhere to give me some gas.
Yeah, I'd say priority 1 is not wreck the truck and trailer. Priority 2 is finding you and giving you the stuff that you need.
Yeah, find the pits.
Yeah, find the pits. I don't want to miss the pits.
It's the chase is absolutely an amazing thing in itself. So I get to chase this time for the first 100 miles.
Yes, that's right.
And then Junior will chase for 200 miles.
Yeah,
we're gonna put Pleasant in that car. She wants to go desert racing.
Yeah.
I was like, so Junior, we had a family meeting over it. And we're weighing the pros and cons. Some of her social media, I'm not going to lie, that was a part of the attraction of it. I didn't push her to promote us and do all this. I asked her to repost just a couple things, I think 3 or 4 things.
Yeah.
And then she's just been like grabbing it
by
the bull by the horns.
Yeah.
And with your repostings, and she's thoroughly, her soul is excited.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
To get in there and have the crap beat out of her for 8 or 10 hours.
And wear a diaper.
Wear a diaper.
But it's fun, though. That's actually one of the things that I really liked about Pleasant and why I originally wanted her on the show is the way she does her social media. It's fun.
Yes.
Once you get to a point, like for her, she has 200 and some odd thousand followers.
Yes.
There are haters that just, they come out of the wall. They come out of the woodwork.
and she makes such good fun of that. It's incredible. Like the diaper thing too.
Yes.
She put up a post on social media of like kids diapers, like choices, right? But that's funny, and I want to follow somebody that does that.
Yes.
And
it's a true reflection of her personality.
Right. And then her very next post is something about one of the products that she sells, which is the Monet product.
Yeah.
So, but I see that because I saw the first one. I was like, well, this is fun.
Yeah.
I see the next product. I'm like, well, maybe I mean, my hair is thinning out, right?
Yeah.
But maybe I didn't.
I actually bought my wife some.
See?
And I paid full retail. I didn't pull any punches.
Yeah.
I just went through her store.
Yeah.
And honestly, I'm not a Monet dealer.
Yeah.
But it's actually pretty amazing.
Yeah.
My hair's starting to thin out, and now I got a 20-year-old girl thinking of getting me to think about my hair.
Right, and that's the whole. That's the whole point. We definitely, for people standing around the booth right now, we got a few laughs from that one.
Yeah. It's true, man.
Yeah.
She's very witty. She's very classy.
Yeah.
She is morally, ethically, spiritually correct.
Yep.
And she can take the trolls and flip it around, especially with guys.
Yeah.
Okay, so Pleasant is, when you look at her, you don't want to gouge out your eyeballs. Yeah. She's a very beautiful young lady.
Yeah.
And her personality sends it over the top.
Yeah, yeah.
And so getting to know her on a more personal level. For us, we're a family race team first and foremost.
Yep.
We don't care about money. We're not going to do any of that.
Yep.
And so getting to know somebody who's going to be a part of our program or the people that we sponsor is super important. So over time, getting to know her, I was thinking, I get people that chime into our stuff or will send me messages, and you're just like, whatever, man. You know what? No big deal. I couldn't imagine being 20.
Yeah.
As pretty as she is, and the exposure she has with the high-profile companies.
Yep.
The events she goes to, she travels like crazy.
Oh yeah, constantly.
The dirty, icky people in the world, not just here.
Right.
Sending her stuff.
Yeah.
Other girls being creepy, jealous, and you're this and you're that, and you probably this to get here, and and she just like water off a duck's back to an extent. The postings, like the last one I saw that I died laughing, is the guy's all, "Hey, do you want to trade pick? Do you want to trade picks?" And she highlighted in her story, "You must be new here," because of her other postings of guys like, "Hey, can I get your number?"
Yeah.
Constant. I couldn't imagine being her, but it's got to be constant. And the way she turns it around and then reposts
she makes it funny. Yeah.
I just die like, man, what a classy young lady. And the apple did not fall far from the tree.
Oh yeah.
Sherry and Eddie, her parents.
Yeah.
You can see where she was raised.
Right.
And not buying into it, not selling out, not lowering your standards.
Yeah.
Is the reason why she's so successful.
Yeah, definitely.
On social media is because of her stance and not willing to go any further than her stance.
Right.
In this today's society, women are powerful.
Mm-hmm.
And in the old society, it was a woman had to really lower their morals, their standards, to get ahead. Not all of them, but that was like the norm.
Yeah.
That became the reputation, and some of that old society and haters still follows along.
Yeah.
But women these days are just as powerful as any man, just as driven, just as goal-oriented, just as competitive.
Yeah.
Or maybe even have a bit more fierce competitiveness into them.
Yep.
And high standards.
Yeah.
Treats everybody like she treats everybody the same.
Yeah.
She doesn't care about your social media.
Right.
She doesn't care who you are.
Right.
You're everybody's the same.
Yep.
She knows like BJ Baldwin.
Yeah.
Everybody gets treated the same with her.
That's very
and
good.
I love that.
Yep. And companies pay attention to that, right? I mean, those are the things that you want in your sponsored rider or racer. I mean, if I've learned anything from doing this podcast for the past year and a half, that's one of them. But hey, I think we're going to close things out now. prepping for the next interview, and you got a lot of work to do to prep for the actual race.
Man,
so.
Josh, I was just starting to get comfortable.
I
I heard you were going to have some
start.
iced tea, you know. I'll just give you the keys to my truck, and we'll call it even
Right.
for now.
Sounds good. Sounds good. Well, cool, man. Thank you.
Pleasure, brother.
Take
Pleasure.
care.
Thanks for tuning in to this episode of the Sponsored Rider Club podcast, which is powered by AMSOIL. Be sure to subscribe. That way you don't miss upcoming guests. We have Mike and Danielle Gardner coming up next, followed by Keegan Kincaid. So good times are coming. Also, head over to iTunes and leave a rating or review. That would be great. I would love it. So would AMSOIL. So would the rest of my sponsors, because it helps the show grow, which ultimately then continues to allow us to produce a show and bring amazing guests on. So do it. Head over there, leave a rating and review. And also subscribe. I already said that before. I'm going to say it again, and I'm going to keep saying it as all these shows go on and on and on, because I want you here listening every single week. Also, make sure you're following us on social media. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter. Facebook is where we go live, though. We just had Jason of Racing Addix on, and he crushed it. That's going to be releasing as an audio-only version very shortly. And then John Ferriet is coming up next right after Heyday, so he's going to be live on September 10th. To get insider access to upcoming guests, go ahead and check out the Sponsored Rider Club on Facebook. It is a group. It is where you can come and ask questions, share best practices, whatever it may be. Check it out. Special thanks goes out to our sponsors. We've got AMSOIL, Armor Coat, SolderWeld, Bold Racing, TopThePodium.com, Crash Addict Industries, Racing Addix, and our other support partners, GSP XTV Axles, MBRP, HMK USA, Studboy Traction, and One Stop Performance. I look forward to serving you again next week. Until then, have fun and ride safe.